So you're a designer, and you've probably had that dream, right? The one where you take all your creative skills, all that passion, and you build your very own successful business. But how? How do you actually make that jump from being a creator to being an entrepreneur? Well, what if I told you that the blueprint for that whole journey comes from a place you would never, ever expect? Let's dive in. Yeah, you heard me right. The key to unlocking your inner entrepreneur might just be hidden away in an academic paper from 2006. I know, it sounds a little out there, but stick with me. We are about to connect some serious dots and turn this high-level theory into something you can actually use right now.
Okay, so our journey here starts in a really practical place. A college course at the Savannah College of Art and Design. You probably know it as SCAD. The course is called Services and Enterprise, and it's built on this amazing idea that the skills you already have as a service designer, creative problem solving, understanding people, collaborating, those are the exact skills you need to kill it in a startup.
And look, the promise here is huge. We're talking about taking your brilliant ideas from a sketchbook and turning them into a real, living, breathing business. It's about finding those untapped opportunities, those white spaces nobody else sees, and then doing the tough work to prove your concept is not just a cool idea, but that it's viable, desirable, and feasible. And yeah, that means getting your hands dirty with business models, financial forecasts, all the stuff that turns a vision into a reality.
But that whole journey from idea to reality, it throws up a massive challenge for pretty much everyone. We can call it the knowledge problem. I mean, how do you get the right information to make the right decisions and take the right actions to actually succeed? Think about it. Should you spend your very limited budget on more user research or on building a better prototype? That right there, that's a knowledge problem.
I love this visual. Think of it like this. Your current situation, state A, is where you have a problem or an opportunity. And over there, state B, that's your successful business. Service design is the bridge that gets you from A to B. But what's that bridge actually made of? It's made of knowledge, and if you don't know how to gather and organize that knowledge in a really smart, systematic way, well, your bridge is going to collapse.
And this is where things can get really tricky. There's a whole field dedicated to this stuff called knowledge management. It's basically just a fancy term for how companies gather, share, and use information. But as these researchers Go and Sheffield pointed out back in 2006, the field itself is kind of messy. It's fragmented, it's confusing, so if the experts can't even agree on one way to do it, how is an entrepreneur supposed to figure it out?
What you need is a framework. And that's exactly what Guo and Sheffield came up with based on the work of a philosopher named Jurgen Habermas. It's called the Habermasian Inquiring System, and it's our secret weapon for building that bridge. Now, don't let the name scare you off. An inquiring system is just a structured way of asking questions to get the specific kind of knowledge you need right when you need it.
Now, this is what's so cool about this whole approach. Look at this definition of knowledge. Forget memorizing facts for a test. In this framework, knowledge is simply the capability of choosing the rational action for a certain purpose. It's not about what you know in your head, it's about what you can do with it. For an entrepreneur, that changes everything.
So, how do we build this capability? Well, the framework breaks it all down into 3 different levels of knowledge, or interests, as Habermas called them. Getting a handle on these 3 is the absolute key, because each one helps you answer a different, really vital question for your new business. Let's take a look at the first one.
First up, you've got the technical interest. This is the nuts and bolts, the how-to knowledge. How do I actually build this thing? How do I put together a financial model that makes sense? How do I write up a basic contract? It's all about interacting with and controlling the physical, tangible world to get things done.
Next, there's the practical interest. So if the technical was all about how, this one is all about who and why. It's about navigating the messy human world of communication and trying to create a shared understanding. What does our service actually mean to our customers? How do we get the whole team pulling in the same direction? What do our investors really care about? You can have the best technical plan on the planet, but if you don't have this shared understanding, it's going absolutely nowhere. And finally, we have the emancipatory interest. This is the big one. Think of this as the breakthrough interest. It's the most powerful and maybe the most abstract. It's about taking a step back, challenging your own assumptions, and breaking free from the way things have always been done. This is the knowledge that lets you see what everyone else misses. It's not about making the current system a little bit better. It's about asking, what's even possible here?
Okay, so we have these 3 interests: technical, practical, and emancipatory. How do we make this real and not just, theory? Let's think of them as 3 different hats that every successful designer turned entrepreneur has to learn to wear. And honestly, you'll probably switch between them multiple times in a single day.
And boom,
This is where it all clicks into place. This is where the rubber meets the road. When you put on your engineer hat, you're using that technical knowledge. You're building financial models, making prototypes. When you wear your communicator hat, that's your practical knowledge. You're out there talking to people, doing stakeholder interviews, making sure everyone is on the same page. And when you put on that visionary hat, that's your emancipatory knowledge kicking in. You're detaching from the ordinary to find those white spaces and create true innovation.
So let's go back to our bridge for a second. It all makes perfect sense now, right? The engineer is the one laying the foundation and actually building the structure. The communicator is making sure that bridge is going to the right place and that everybody agrees on the design. And the visionary? The visionary is the one who dared to imagine a bridge could even exist there in the first place. See, they aren't separate jobs. They are three modes of thinking that you have to master to get from state A to state B.
So the final question is for you. As you think about your own journey, which of these hats feels the most comfortable? Are you a natural engineer, a gifted communicator, a born visionary? And maybe even more important, which hat do you need to consciously put on next to build your own bridge to success?